much as I want to tear down and preach this, I'm not going to, but I do want to give you what God gave me. The title of this message is When Your Plans Don't Go As Expected. I can tell you that there's times in my life when my plans didn't go as I expected it to. If you look at Joshua, I was going to be in Joshua chapter 7 the entire chapter today, but if you go back one chapter in Joshua chapter 6, they just crossed the Jordan River, they just set up a monument in Gilgal, and they just conquered or took over Jericho. God gave them specific instructions on how to conquer Jericho, and Joshua got those battle plans exactly right to walk around the city one time for 6 days. On the seventh day, walk around 7 times without saying a word, and then on the final round, on the 7th, then you shout and the walls are going to fall flat. After Joshua seeing all those miracles that God did, they hit a major roadblock in chapter number 7. When your plans don't go as expected, you may hit a roadblock, but it's not always God's fault. If you look at Joshua chapter number 7 and verse number 1, it says, "But the children of Israel committed a trespass in the accursed thing, for Achan the son of Comorah and the son of Zabadiah, the son of Zerachah, of the tribe of Judah, took the accursed thing, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against the children of Israel." When your plans don't go as expected, it's not always God's fault. There may be sin amongst your camp. And as Christians, we need to make sure that we don't have sin in our camp. I'm talking about unconfessed sin, because we're all sinners saved by grace. But if we start thinking we can go out and do whatever we want to, that's not going to help God. And He's not going to bless your life. You need to make sure there's not unconfessed sin in your life that you're holding back from God. Because Joshua didn't sin in this case, but somebody among his camp did. See, your sin doesn't only affect you, but it also affects everybody else around you. Because if you look at, they were about to go take the battle, or they're about to go take Ai. And I don't know if you know this day and time, but Ai means artificial intelligence. But Joshua sent out spies, and they came back with artificial information, saying that there was only a few people there, and for him to go. Joshua never asked the Lord to go. He just went in his own power. When your plans don't go as expected, it may not be God's fault, but it may be your own fault for going in your own power. Don't receive artificial intelligence for somebody that you shouldn't be speaking to. The best power that we can get comes from God. And when your plans don't go as expected, don't always start blaming God. Because if you read, and I have plans to read all this, I don't feel like I should, but I want you to go study this out for yourself. Because if you read the rest of this chapter, Joshua starts questioning God. He basically says, why did I even cross the Jordan River if you're going to do this to me? If we start questioning God in the wrong way in our lives, we get ourselves in a mess. Your plan always is perfect in God's will, but if we start going outside of God's will, that's when our lives get in a mess. Make sure that you're putting God first in your life and not your own plans. I'm going to ask them to sing this. I'm done. There's some more things in here. A trespass basically means a violation of morals or social ethics. An accursed thing is things that are associated with demonic and debasing worship, basically practice of the Canaanites. What are you putting in front of God before you put anything else? Is something else in front of God before God? That's when we get ourselves in a mess. See, when Achan decided to take that accursed thing and start basically worshiping idols again, he got not only himself in trouble, but he got the whole tribe in trouble. Because if you read Joshua 7, 36 people died the first time they went to Ai. That didn't have to happen. That was somebody else's sin that caused that to happen. As Christians, we need to be careful with who we're hanging out with. And not only that, but you need to be careful and mindful of the people that's around you, because their sin may be affecting you too. And if you've hit that roadblock and your plans aren't going as expected, it may not only be your sin, but it may be the people you're hanging around with. That's why I try to stress to these teenagers so much, pick your friends wisely. Because if they start doing things that they shouldn't be doing and you're hanging around it, it's going to affect your life too. We're going to stand, they're going to sing this song again. I feel like people still need help here. If everybody would stand. When your plans don't go as expected, maybe God will let me preach this whole thing one day, but I don't feel like at this point in time, I feel led to do that. But the last thing I will say is this. Make sure you're not questioning God's motives, and make sure you're following His motives. Because Joshua throughout this chapter started questioning God. We don't need to get in that position. There's nothing wrong with asking God a question, but make sure we're doing it in the right way. What motivates you when your plans don't go as expected? Do you start blaming others, or are you going to start realizing that we have some accountability too?
Are you weary from the battle you're fighting? Does it seem like the storm just won't break? Is there a mountain in front of you you doubt will ever move, and you wonder, will God make a way? Well, tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a time. So be strong in the Lord and remember to take hold of faith and stand firm. Oh, you can be confident. The Lord keeps His promises. Don't doubt Him. Just read through His word and tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a time. Are you weary from the battle you're fighting? Does it seem like the storm just won't break? Is there a mountain in front of you you doubt will ever move, and you wonder, will God make a way? Well, tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a time.
I just thought about over there, as a father, I fell a lot of times, but I'm glad that we serve a Heavenly Father that I can look back and I can honestly say He's never failed me once. And I'm glad that we have that Heavenly Father we can run to. Y'all can have a seat. I know this was a little bit different than normal, but I feel like people got help today. And it's not always about preaching. If God shows up, let God help.